In a single year, Americans spent $71 billion on impulse buys influenced by social media. $71 billion in a single year on things many people did not truly need. That is the kind of number that should make all of us pause. Because most money does not disappear in dramatic ways. It disappears through ordinary habits that feel harmless while they are happening. This video is about the unsexy ones that quietly save serious money. My name is Mila, and I'm obsessed with the small moves and hidden nuances that build real wealth. Today, we are covering 16 unsexy habits that quietly save serious money, where money really disappears, the habits that stop it, and how to choose the ones that will actually change your finances. And I've organized them into 3 blocks. The first 5 are about your daily habits, the small, repeated decisions that quietly drain your account. The next 5 are about your systems and your identity, how you plan, how you think about your income, and what you signal through your spending. And the final 6 are about your financial architecture, the recurring costs, the convenience traps, the debt, and finally, the one internal habit that holds all the others together. 16 habits total. Let's start with block 1. Habit 1, keep your food habits boring. Rotate the same meals, pack your own lunch, and eat everything in your fridge before you restock. I know, not exactly thrilling, but stay with me. Here's what most people's food week actually looks like. You shop without a real plan, you buy what looks good, life gets busy by Wednesday, nothing sounds appealing anymore, and suddenly, you are on a delivery app spending $15 to $20 on a meal you did not even really want. The groceries slowly die in your fridge, and then you do the whole thing again the following week. And here is what that actually costs you. The EPA looked at this and found that food waste runs the average American about $728 a year. For a household of 4, that is nearly $2,900 annually. Roughly $56 every single week, just in food that was bought and never eaten. That is not a grocery problem. That is a planning problem. The fix is almost offensively simple. You pick a small rotation of meals you genuinely like, 5, 6, whatever works, and you shop for exactly those. You know what you are eating before the week starts. And when you are tired and uninspired on a Wednesday night, you are not making a fresh decision. You already made it on Sunday. That one shift alone kills most of the random takeout. Packing your lunch works the same way. It is not about being cheap. It is about not spending $12 on a meal because you did not think ahead. Do that 3 times a week, and you are looking at over $150 a month leaving your account almost invisibly. And before you even think about another grocery run, finish what you have. Use what is already in your fridge, your freezer, your pantry. Because right now, for most people, there is a meaningful amount of money already sitting in their kitchen that they are about to throw away. Boring food habits are high-return habits. Simple as that. Habit 2, make coffee at home. Okay, so I appreciate a good cafe coffee. Genuinely, I do. This is not me telling you that enjoying one makes you bad with money. But let us talk about what happens when it stops being a treat and becomes just the thing you do every single morning without thinking about it. And most Americans are right there with you. 51% buy coffee from a shop at least once a week. Your average order, once you add any milk or syrup or whatever your usual is, you are looking at $5 to $8 every single morning. Run that out. And the average American is spending about $84 a month at the cafe, just over $1,000 a year just on coffee. Now, here is what the same habit costs at home. A bag of really good ground coffee. Not the cheap stuff. Actual quality coffee runs you $10 to $15 and gets you around 30 cups. That is roughly 50 cents a cup. 50 cents versus $7 every morning. Make it at home, and your monthly spend drops from $84 to about $15. That is nearly $70 back in your pocket every month. Over $800 a year, conservatively. And here is the thing that always gets me. Starbucks is currently worth over $100 billion. They did not build that on people who go occasionally. They built it on daily habit spending. People who stopped choosing and just started going. That is exactly the autopilot this habit is asking you to interrupt. Make the expensive coffee the occasional treat you actually choose and enjoy. Make everything else at home. That is the whole habit. Habit 3, make unnecessary spending harder. Delete your shopping apps, remove your saved card details, give yourself a 48-hour waiting rule before buying anything unplanned, and stop using shopping as entertainment. That last one is worth sitting with for a second. A quarter of Americans say boredom is one of the top reasons they open their wallets. Not need. Not even real want. Just nothing else to do. And when your phone is full of shopping apps with your card already saved, boredom is very expensive. The average American spends about $282 a month on impulse purchases. That is over $3,300 a year on things that mostly did not survive a second thought because they never got one. And look, the whole system is designed for exactly that moment. Saved card details, one-click checkout, low stock warnings, countdown timers. All of it exists to get you from impulse to purchase before your brain catches up. So instead of trying to out-discipline a system built to defeat you, you just add friction. Delete the apps, remove the saved cards, make yourself physically get up and find your wallet. And for anything over a certain amount, give it 48 hours. Most impulse purchases do not survive 48 hours. The excitement fades, the need disappears, and you realize you were mostly just bored. That gap between what you spend impulsively and what you would spend intentionally, that is where hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars are quietly going every year. Habit 4. Repeat your outfits. Wear what you already own more intentionally. Build a capsule wardrobe. Check what you have before you buy. And only add pieces that work with multiple things you already own. And here's why this matters more than most people think. The average American owns enough clothing to put together 135 different outfits and still spends about $1,445 every year on more clothes and shoes. On average, each item gets worn just 7 times before it is discarded. 7 times. So the problem is almost never that you do not have enough. The problem is that what you own is not being used well enough. There is a concept called cost per wear. The real cost of any piece of clothing is the price divided by how many times you actually wear it. A $60 top you wear 30 times costs you $2 per wear. A $120 dress you wear once cost you $120 per wear. The price tag is not the real number, the usage is. And most people's wardrobes are full of items with a terrible cost per wear that never gets examined. A capsule wardrobe fixes this. It is just a smaller, more intentional set of pieces that actually work together. Before you buy anything new, go through what you have first. Ask yourself if something you already own can do the same job. And if you do decide to buy, make sure the new piece works with at least 3 or 4 things already in your wardrobe. If it only works as one specific outfit, it is probably not worth it. This also quietly kills the feeling that an outfit has been seen. That belief that you cannot wear the same thing twice. It is almost entirely psychological. And when it goes unexamined, it becomes an ongoing reason to keep spending with no natural stopping point. Cut your clothing spend by even a third, and you are keeping nearly $500 a year. Build a wardrobe you actually rotate through, and the impulse buys drop with it. Habit 5. Keep your beauty routine. Simple. Identify the products that actually work for you, default to those, and always finish what you have before buying anything new. The beauty industry is very good at creating a moving target. New launches, trending ingredients, limited editions, 10-step routines, and a constant message that whatever you are currently doing is incomplete. The result for a lot of people is a bathroom shelf full of half-used products, an ongoing habit of just trying this one new thing, and a monthly spend that never quite gets examined because each individual purchase feels small, and the numbers add up faster than most people realize. The average American woman spends around $3,756 a year on beauty and personal care. That is over $300 a month. And a significant chunk of that is not products that ran out. It is products that got replaced before they were finished because something newer looked more promising. Now here's the number that puts it in perspective. If you cut that spend in half, just half, and invested the difference of around $1,800 a year at 8%, a reasonable long-term market average, in 30 years, you would have just over $200,000. $200,000. From beauty products you are not even finishing. So the habit is simple. Finish what you have before you open anything new. Not just before you buy. Before you open. Work through what is already in your bathroom. Identify the 4 or 5 products that genuinely work for you and make those your defaults. And before adding anything new, ask yourself honestly, do I need this? Or do I just want to try it? Those 2 things have very different price tags over the course of a year. A simpler routine costs less, takes less time, and for most people, delivers the same results. The products worth buying are the ones you actually finish, Those are the first 5, your daily life habits. The small, repeated decisions that quietly drain your account through food, convenience, appearance, and impulse. Now we move into Block 2, systems and identity, and how they can save or drain your finances. Habit 6, plan your week ahead. Every Sunday, or whatever day works for you, spend 20 minutes planning your week, your meals, your schedule, your errands, your bills. That is the habit. And a financial planner I know said something that has always stuck with me. He said the number one reason people feel broke has nothing to do with the economy and nothing to do with their income. It is their lack of a plan. And honestly, I believe that completely, because here is what no plan actually looks like in real life. It looks like last-minute decisions that cost more than planned decisions. Rushed errands made separately that could have been one trip. Bills paid late not because the money was not there, but because nobody thought about it in time. And those late fees add up faster than most people realize. The average American household loses $577 a year to late fees, overdraft fees, and the ripple effects of disorganized bill payment. $577. Not from being broke, from being disorganized. Weekly planning closes that gap almost completely. You know what bills are due, so you schedule them before the deadline. You batch your errands into one trip. You see your week before it starts instead of reacting to it in real time. You stop making financial decisions under pressure. And that alone changes how much money stays in your account every single month. 20 minutes on a Sunday. That is the whole habit. Habit 7, pay yourself first and automate it. Every time money comes in, the first thing that moves is your savings and your investments. Before bills, before spending, before anything else, that is the habit. And honestly, this is the one that separates people who are slowly building wealth from people who keep meaning to. Here is the problem with waiting to save what is left over at the end of the month. There is almost never anything left. And that is not because people are irresponsible. It is because your spending naturally grows to meet your income. You earn more, your life gets slightly more expensive in ways you barely notice, and the margin you thought would be there quietly disappears. Every single month, until saving feels impossible on the same income that should theoretically be enough. And here's the stat that always gets me. Only 17% of Americans use automatic transfers to build their savings. 17%. And research actually shows that people are 15 times more likely to save consistently when the money moves automatically from their paycheck before they ever touch it. 15 times. That is not a small difference. That is the entire game. Now, I want to address something because I hear this a lot. The idea that you need a bigger paycheck before you can really start, that once you earn more, then you will get serious. And I understand why it feels that way, but the data does not support it. The average American, regardless of income, saves only about 4.4% of what they earn. Not because they cannot save more, because their system does not require them to. And I have worked with people earning 6 figures who have almost nothing put away, and people on much more modest incomes who have quietly built real financial cushions. And the difference is almost never the number on the paycheck. It is this habit. The person who moves 10% automatically on payday, every single payday, without touching it, that person is building something. The high earner waiting for the right moment is not. So here is how you actually do this. You decide upfront what percentage of your income goes to savings and investments the moment your paycheck lands. Even if you start at 5%, even 3%, you set it to move automatically on payday before you ever see it in your spending account. You open a separate account, a savings account, a brokerage account, a retirement account, somewhere the money has to be a decision to touch, not sitting in your checking account where it is one bad week away from being spent. What you do not see, you do not spend. Your lifestyle adjusts to what is in front of you, and the saving happens quietly in the background without you having to fight for it every single month. Now, let us look at what this actually builds. If you automate just $200 a month into an investment account earning 8% annually, in 30 years, you have just under $300,000 from $200 a month that you automated and stopped thinking about. Start with whatever feels manageable. Set it to move on payday. Increase it by 1% every 6 months. And never wait for the bigger paycheck to begin, because the bigger paycheck almost never changes the habit. It just makes the lifestyle bigger. Habit 8, live below your income. Spend less than you earn, consistently, intentionally, and even as your income grows. And I want to start with a real example because this habit makes much more sense when you see it in practice. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people who has ever lived, still lives in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska, that he bought in 1958 for $31,500. That is not because he cannot afford anything else. It is because he decided a very long time ago that his financial security mattered more than his financial appearance. And that decision compounded just like his investments did. Now, I am not saying you need to live like that. But here is what I want you to notice. Most people do the exact opposite. Over half of Americans, 52%, admit that if they got a higher paying job, they would also spend more. Not save more, spend more. Which means a raise does not create breathing room, it just creates a more expensive life that now needs the bigger paycheck to survive. And here is what that looks like in real life. You get a raise, and you move somewhere nicer because you can. You get promoted, and the car gets upgraded. You start earning more, and the restaurants get better, the trips get bigger, the wardrobe gets a refresh. And every single one of those decisions feels completely reasonable in the moment. But together, they silently consume every dollar of every raise you will ever get and leave you just as stretched on $60,000 as you were on $40,000. So here is what living below your means looks like in practice. Every time your income increases, whether that is a raise, a new job, a bonus, a side income, you make a rule before the money arrives. 50% of every increase goes to savings or investments first, not lifestyle, not yet. You let the other 50% improve your life if you want. But half goes to building the gap before you even feel the difference in your spending account. And if you are not getting regular raises right now, the rule still applies. You live on less than you bring in. Not dramatically less, not joylessly less, but intentionally less. A 10% gap is enough to change your financial life over time. Most people are living on 102% of their income without realizing it. The other 2% going on a credit card somewhere. Just closing that gap and getting to 90% is a meaningful shift. The number that should stay in your head is this. If you consistently spend less than you earn and invest the difference, even modestly, you will end up in a fundamentally different financial position than someone earning more than you who spends everything they make. Income is what you earn, wealth is what you keep, and the habit of keeping is what this is about. Habit 9. Drive an older car, even if you can technically afford a newer one. This connects directly to the last habit. Lifestyle inflation does not just happen through subscriptions and restaurants. A lot of it happens in a parking lot. Let us start with the numbers because they are genuinely staggering. Americans currently owe $1.67 trillion in auto loan debt. That is the second largest category of consumer debt in the entire country behind mortgages. The average new car payment just hit a record $767 a month. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans financing a new car is paying over $1,000 a month. And the average loan term for a new car is now almost 6 years. 6 years of payments on something that starts losing value the moment it leaves the lot. Now, here's the part nobody talks about. A lot of those decisions are not really about transportation. Cars are one of the most visible things a person can own. Everyone sees what you drive, to work, to pick up the kids, to the grocery store. And because of that, they have quietly become one of the primary ways people signal financial status. Not actual financial health, financial appearance. You get a raise and the upgrade feels earned. You start a new job and a better car feels appropriate for where you are now. Someone in your circle gets something nicer, and suddenly your perfectly functional car starts feeling inadequate. The car industry knows all of this and has spent decades making the upgrade feel natural, affordable, and deserved, stretched across 60 or 70 monthly payments so the number feels manageable. But here is what that manageable number is actually costing you. $767 a month invested at 8% over 10 years is over $140,000. Over 20 years, it is over $450,000. And if you invest that same amount consistently for 30 years of choosing not to have the newest car, you would have approximately $1.14 million, over $1 million, from a car payment. Now let us talk about what buying older actually gives you, because this is not just about sacrifice. A 3- or 4-year-old reliable car has already taken its biggest depreciation hit. Someone else absorbed that. You buy it at a significantly lower price, your monthly payment drops dramatically or disappears entirely, your insurance is cheaper, and you still get a car that works perfectly well. Brands like Toyota, Honda, and Mazda Regularly run to 200,000 miles with basic maintenance. The mechanical reliability gap between a new car and a well-maintained 3-year-old car from a good brand is almost zero in daily life. What is not zero is the financial gap. That gap is enormous. So the habit is two things. Keep the car you have until it genuinely costs more to maintain than to replace. And when you do buy older, buy reliable, and buy well below what you could technically afford. The goal is not to look like you cannot afford better. The goal is to quietly be in a position where you actually can. Habit 10. Use what you own before buying more. Before you buy anything, check what you already have first. The average American home contains 300,000 items. 300,000. And yet most people still feel like they never have what they need. That is not a shortage problem. That is an awareness problem. It looks like buying a new conditioner before the old one runs out because you forgot you had it. Picking up a tool at the hardware store that is sitting in a drawer at home. Ordering something online you know you have somewhere but cannot find. Buying a new gym outfit because you cannot locate the one you already own. Restocking your pantry with items that are already in the back of the cupboard. Buying a book you already own in a different format. Getting a new phone charger because yours is in another room and it is easier to just buy one. None of these feel significant in the moment, but they happen constantly across every category of your life. And across a year, they add up to real money spent on things you already owned. The habit is simple. Look before you buy. Use what is already there. Finish what you have, and only buy when you have genuinely confirmed you do not own it or something that can do the same job. It is one of the lowest effort habits on this list and one of the most consistently overlooked. Habit 11. Cap your subscriptions. Set a hard number for how many subscriptions you will carry. Then audit every single one against it. Here is the thing about subscriptions that makes them financially dangerous. They are invisible. They do not feel like spending because they do not require a decision every month. They just happen. Quietly, automatically, while you are thinking about something else. And that invisibility is exactly what the subscription model is built on. The average American is currently paying for 5.4 subscriptions. Nearly 1 in 4 people is spending over $100 a month on subscriptions alone. That is over $1,200 a year. But here's the stat that really gets me. When people are asked to estimate what they spend on subscriptions, they guess around $86 a month. The actual number averages $219. That is a gap of over $130 every single month that people do not even know is leaving their account. And on top of that, over half of subscribers are still actively paying for at least one subscription they have not used in the past 30 days. Not something they forgot to cancel. Something they are paying for right now, this month, that they have not touched. So the habit has two parts. First, do a full subscription audit right now. Go through your bank and credit card statements line by line and find every recurring charge. Write them all down. You will almost certainly find something you forgot about. Second, set a cap. Decide the maximum number of subscriptions you are willing to carry and cancel anything that does not make the cut. If something has not been used in 30 days, it does not make the cut. The financially organized people are not the ones who never subscribe to anything. They are the ones who know exactly what they are paying for and make a conscious choice about every single one of them. Habit 12. Avoid single-purpose purchases. Before you buy anything, ask whether it actually fits your real life or whether you are buying it for a version of yourself that does not exist yet. You know, the bread maker that sits on the counter unused. The pasta attachment that came out once. The air fryer that felt life-changing in the store and has not been touched in 4 months. The home gym equipment that is now a very expensive clothes rack. These are single-purpose purchases. Items bought for a specific fantasy version of your life that never quite materialized. 78% of Americans make purchases they immediately regret. And nearly 1 in 5 people buy something they will never use at least once a week. Not occasionally, every week. The fix is one honest question before you buy. Do I need this specific item, or do I just need the result it promises? And is the version of me who uses this regularly actually who I am right now? If the answer requires imagining a more organized, more disciplined, or more ambitious version of yourself, wait, buy for who you are today, not who you are planning to become. Habit 13. Negotiate your bills. Call your service providers once a year and ask for a better rate. This is one of the easiest money-saving habits on this entire list. And almost nobody does it. Rocket Money reports in its consumer savings report that people who negotiated their bills in the past year saved an average of $1,634 annually. And Consumer Reports found that 42% of people who tried to negotiate a better price on their broadband service got a lower one. That means a meaningful number of people who ask do get a better rate. And look, I know it sounds awkward. Most people assume the number on their bill is just the number, fixed, non-negotiable. But these companies, internet providers, phone carriers, insurance companies, home security, are all in incredibly competitive industries. They would rather quietly lower your rate than lose you to someone else. Their retention departments exist specifically for this reason, and most people just never call. So what you do is this. Once a year, you go through your recurring bills: internet, phone, insurance, cable, home security. You call each one, ask to be transferred to retention or cancellations, mention you have been a loyal customer and that you have seen better rates elsewhere, and then you just ask what they can do for you. Stay calm, stay polite, and stay on the phone. Most of the time, they come back with something. A single call on your internet bill can save you $20 to $40 a month. Do that across 3 or 4 bills. And you are looking at hundreds of dollars saved from a few phone calls once a year that cost you nothing but a little time. Habit 14. Avoid convenience fees. Stop paying extra just because it is the easiest option in the moment. Here is a number that should genuinely bother you. On average, Americans spend nearly $1,800 a year on convenience-driven purchases. At that pace, over a lifetime, that is well over $140,000 spent on convenience. And the most relatable version of this right now is sitting on most people's phones. Every time you open DoorDash or Uber Eats, you are not just paying for food. You are paying a delivery fee, a service fee that runs between 10 and 15% of your order total, and a tip on top of that. But here's the part most people miss. Restaurants typically inflate their menu prices on delivery apps by 15 to 25% to cover their own commission costs. So that burger listed at $14 on the app is probably $11 in the actual restaurant. Then you add the delivery fee, then the service fee, then the tip. What started as an $11 meal is now $28 or $30 by the time you confirm the order. And Americans are spending an average of $654 a year just in delivery fees and service charges alone. Not counting the food, not counting the markup, just the fees. That $654 a year invested at 8% over 30 years is over $80,000. From convenience fees on food you could have picked up or made at home, and delivery apps are just one version of this. Out-of-network ATM withdrawals cost $4.86 every single time. Expedited shipping because you forgot to order in time. Ticket service fees that add 20 to 30% on top of a ticket's face value. Convenience fees for paying a bill online. All of it is a tax on impatience and poor planning. Build just enough structure into your daily life that you are not constantly defaulting to the most expensive version of convenience. Plan your meals. Use your bank's ATM network. Choose standard shipping when you do not actually need something immediately. And always check the final total before you confirm anything. Not the advertised price, the real number. The fees are not the problem. The autopilot is. Habit 15. Pay above the minimum on debt. Every month you carry a credit card balance and pay only the minimum. The bank wins and you lose. That is not dramatic language. That is just math. Americans currently owe $1.277 trillion in credit card debt. Trillion. With an average interest rate of 22.3%. And over 27 million Americans can only afford the minimum payment every month, which means over 27 million people are essentially paying a monthly fee to stay in debt, without making any meaningful progress on the actual balance. Here is what that looks like in real numbers. The average American credit card balance is $6,618. If you only make the minimum payment on that balance at the average interest rate, and you could stay in debt for almost 19 years and pay about $10,800 in interest. That is thousands of dollars lost just for staying in debt longer than you need to. And here is the thing about minimum payments that credit card companies do not advertise. They are designed to keep you paying as long as possible. The minimum is calculated to be just enough to keep your account in good standing, not enough to actually reduce your balance in any meaningful way. Most of a minimum payment goes straight to interest. The actual principle barely moves. The habit is not complicated. Every month you have credit card debt. Pay more than the minimum. Even if it is just $50 more, just $50 added to your monthly minimum payment cuts years off your repayment timeline and saves thousands in interest. $100 extra, and you are debt-free in roughly half the time at roughly half the total interest cost. The debt does not feel urgent because it is spread out in small monthly amounts. That is exactly what makes it so expensive. Treat it with urgency, and it gets cheaper very quickly. Habit 16. Practice gratitude. This is the last habit on the list, and I want to be clear up front. This is not soft advice. The research on gratitude and financial behavior is genuinely compelling, and it explains why so many of the other habits on this list are hard to sustain without it. Here is what the science actually shows. Studies consistently find that people in a grateful state of mind make higher quality financial decisions and are significantly less impulsive with money. In one experiment, participants were given a choice between a smaller amount of money now or a larger amount later. The grateful group was far more willing to wait for the bigger reward. They were less reactive, less driven by the moment, and more connected to their future selves. Research across thousands of participants also found that gratitude consistently reduces the desire for more, not through deprivation, but through genuine satisfaction with what already exists. And multiple studies have shown that gratitude directly reduces social comparison, the habit of measuring your life against other people's and spending money to close the gap. And that last point is where this connects to everything else on this list. Think about how many of the spending patterns we have covered today are driven by comparison. The car upgrade because someone in your circle got a new one, the outfit because it has been seen, the beauty product because the algorithm showed you something better, the lifestyle inflation because your income grew, and it seemed like the right time to upgrade. So much of what drains people financially is not actual need. It is the restless feeling that what you have is not quite enough yet. Gratitude is the habit that interrupts that feeling at the source. And the practical version of this is not complicated. It does not require a journal or a morning routine or anything elaborate. It is just a regular practice of noticing what is already working in your life before you go looking for what is missing, before you open a shopping app, before you upgrade something that is still functional, before you compare your financial situation to someone else's curated version of theirs online. The financially calm people are not always the ones with the most. They are often the ones who have genuinely made peace with enough. And that peace, that quiet contentment, is probably the most underrated money-saving habit that exists. And before we wrap, I want to do something with you. I want to add up what these habits are actually worth. Because individually, they all sound small. Make coffee at home, saves around $1,000 a year. Cap your subscriptions, saves $200 to $500 a year. Negotiating your bills can save you $1,634 a year on average. Avoid convenience fees, save $600 plus a year. Pay above the minimum on debt, saves thousands in interest. Drive an older car instead of financing a new one, saves over $9,000 a year in payments alone. Automate your savings instead of waiting for leftovers, builds wealth you would have otherwise spent. Plan your week, eliminates hundreds in last-minute decisions every single month. Add it all up honestly. The food waste, the subscriptions, the coffee, the delivery fees, the ATM fees, the late fees, the interest, the car payment, the impulse purchases, the beauty products, and you are looking at somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 a year in recoverable money. Money that is currently leaving your account through habits that feel completely normal. Over 10 years at 8% invested, that is well over $300,000. Over 20 years, it is closer to $750,000. These habits are not small. They just look small from the inside. So here's what I want you to do with everything we covered today. Identify your top 3 leaks. Just 3. One from your daily life, food, coffee, convenience, appearance. One from your recurring expenses, subscriptions, bills, debt. And one from your bigger financial picture, automation, lifestyle gap, car, planning. Pick one habit from each and start there. You do not need to fix everything today. You need to fix the 3 things that are costing you the most right now. And when you are deciding whether to spend on something going forward, run it through this filter. Is this solving a real need? Is it genuinely improving my life enough to justify the cost? Or is it mostly convenience, boredom, image, or impulse? That question alone will save you more money than any budget spreadsheet ever will. The habits that build real financial breathing room are almost never the exciting ones. They are the ones that look too boring to matter until you run the numbers. and then they look like freedom. So that is all from me today. And always remember, luxury is easier when your money is organized. I will see you in the next one, and I love you.